Hey, folks, welcome back. We took a little hiatus and we are back from North Dakota and all the tournaments and the guiding and just taking a little time off, spend with the family here at home. But we are back at it with another podcast. And today I've been saving this one up. We got a couple good ones coming up, but we are bringing to you the man that really doesn't need any introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. Hall of Fame angler, Keith Kavajecz. He's going to break down his 2024 season, what we got coming up in 2025. Talk a little Florida fishing, industry things, just all things fishing. Keith is a fishing guru. Guy loves to fish, spends more time in the water than just about anybody. A living legend. A lot of heroes to a lot of that walleye anglers out there. Just a hell of a good dude and a fishing fanatic. And just trust me, stay tuned because you're going to want to hear this one from Keith Kavajecz.
Hey guys, let's get real. I don't care what lake you're on. If you want to catch more walleyes, fish the weeds. Weeds, lily pads, thick cover, you name it, it holds fish year round, holds bait, holds big fish, oxygenates the water, clean water. That's just where the walleyes roam, and they are there, especially this time of year in summer, late summer, and into early fall. Fish and vegetation is where Seaguar Tactex comes in. This braid makes a huge difference. Tactex is a camel color braid with a serrated type texture that literally cuts through vegetation. This texture enhances your durability and adds excellent abrasion resistance. There's two things that are kind of important when you're fishing heavy cover. Do me a favor, check out Seaguar Tactex Camel Braid. It's a high performance braid at a budget friendly price. Get yourself some at seaguar.com.
Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. Today, we are joined by a legend, a Hall of Famer. This man needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway because he deserves it. He is an educator, innovator, a living legend, has inspired so many anglers out there, such as myself, to jump on and fish these national tours and just to go fishing. I don't even care what species it is. Keith is a fishing freak fanatic, and the guys on the water probably more days than most people in this country are each year. So with that said, Mr. Keith Kavajecz, how is it going today, my friend?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I am outstanding. Thank you for joining us. It's like I said, and Gary's, I heard him say this several times too, that nobody fishes more than Keith does. He just loves it.
I do like to fish, yeah.
You do it, and when you made the little move to Florida a few years back, spending the winters down there, and that keeps you fishing probably 300 plus days a year, I suppose. Then
I take a little gap in between to go a little ice fishing, a couple 3 weeks of that, and then down to Florida for about 3 months, 4 months.
Well, that can't suck. So
no, and fishing's always good down there as long as the wind ain't blowing too bad. So
right, yeah, I'm very familiar with the wind being a Dakotan. Oh. And as you are being a touring pro, you could have touring pro. You had a good season, fished full circuit this year, 2024, good season. I think you bumped 15 angler of the year, maybe somewhere in there.
15th, yeah.
15, yeah. A little, got another shot to move up some more. I don't know. It's going to be tough to catch those top 5 guys.
Almost impossible with the way they do.
Right.
There's only 40 points spread, so you can't. I think I'm more than 40 behind. I don't even look because I knew I was far enough down. I think it's only 4 or 5 guys that are really in any kind of contention. So good for them. I'm just glad I made it. It was my first year of fishing solo. I didn't have a team this year. So kind of different trying to cover the big waters we had this year. But I did pick fishing this year because most of the places we were at were places I've fished quite often. So I did have some past knowledge at least to get me started. So.
Yeah, I think saying you have some past knowledge might be just a little bit. You get a little bit of experience out there on those waters and did good because, I mean, making even that top 40 nowadays it's not easy. It's a field of hammers out there.
No, it's very hard, and especially with, Green Bay kind of messed up some of the guys that, could have maybe made it. But so I don't like that rule either. But, it is what it is. Same for everybody. So. Yeah, like I said, I'm just glad that was kind of my primary goal for the year to make it. And I had a lot of decent finishes, not anything great, but a lot of decent finishes. And so I didn't have to worry too much going into Sakakawea, so that was a good thing.
Yeah, I've looked over and talking to Bala. If you just can bring a limit of fish in every day, you don't need to cash a check. You're going to make the top 40.
Typically.
Typically.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, especially since some of the bites weren't that fantastic. Well, especially Green Bay, that was a real.
Especially Green Bay, that was something else.
And then Sakakawea, having way more boats than I ever expected we'd have out there, that put some spread in points too. So, glad I was in a good position because that was a tournament where a guy could really make up or lose a lot of ground.
Yep, the turnout was a little better than anticipated there. A lot of locals got in. It's just a fun place to fish. I think Missouri River. Everybody loves fishing Missouri River, so it draws a crowd. But you're moving on to the championship at Lake Huron.
Right on.
Any experience out there?
Well, I mean, it's in an area that we've never launched out of Oscoda, but we've had tournaments down in Au Gres. We had a PWT championship back in I think '94 or something like that, right out of Au Gres, right this time of year. Unfortunately, back then I thought I was smart enough I didn't have to take notes on everything and keep waypoints because I just remember them. But unlike now, where I keep notes on every tournament, I'll have to play it a little bit by ear. And it's also an area where, fishing Sault Ste. Marie, we've run down to like Rogers City, which is north of here. So, I mean, we haven't fished specifically out of Oscoda, but we have fished that area, not necessarily this time of year, though.
What can people expect? I've never even been up there outside of the Saginaw Bay tournament, and I didn't go clear up there by all means, but did I ever?
The fishing in Saginaw has been getting better and better for big fish in the last 4, 5, 10 years now. So obviously finding big fish will be important. This time of year, it's a transitional time of year. The only thing that maybe is going in our favor a little bit is that it was warmer water this year than most years. So maybe they won't have started their migration, because if they've started their migration from up north down to Saginaw Bay, they could move daily. So it might be hard to keep up with them. Might be hard to find them, or find them one day and not the next day, things like that.
Yeah, that seems to be the story all year. They're just been moving because of these weird non-stable weather patterns, I guess I would say. Early ice off, but then it didn't get warm. It didn't get really hot until after the 4th. Right. And now we're on a cool down now, but then again, this weekend's coming, back to 90s. But I was out yesterday and water temperatures haven't changed much, and fish finally are kind of where they're supposed to be, I would say. But who knows how long that's going to last.
Yeah, and I can't say I know where they're supposed to be in Michigan, so it's going to be a matter of getting, graphing a lot. And thankfully, they're big enough fish. Maybe some will be suspended. There should be, just covering some water should be able to find something. So.
And that can you coal there? I can't remember what the rules were for that.
I don't even remember. I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, they've sent out plenty enough rules for us. I mean, we can't talk to anybody since the Friday of Sakakawea. Yep. You can't call anybody out there. You can't fish with anybody. The guys who normally come pre-fishing, we can't even fish with me. So a lot of rules out there. I haven't really read the tournament rules yet because I'm just trying to make sure I follow all the
right. There's so many other rules to make sure you're not you're following, which, I mean, they're all good. It's a limited practice for you. I think there's a media day built in. So, I mean, that's good. It's off limits from, like you said, the day after Friday when Sakakawea was over. Boom, done. No communication, no fishing.
Right. All the way to the Friday before we can start fishing. So
on the Friday before, so basically you get 4 days, right? 3.5, 4.5. Okay.
We can fish on the day before the tournament, but then I think it is a media afternoon. I think you said.
Yep, I believe they implemented that, and hopefully it's more than a 5-fish thing, and you guys can cull or maybe have 1 or 2 to play with, because that nice. That would be real nice. That made things a little tricky this season, and I'm sure made a lot of people's no. But who would have thought Green Bay was like 3 fish? This is going to be horrible. But then come tournament time, you're like, man, 3 fish. I'm glad it's only 3 fish because that's all I can catch for some.
Yeah, I mean, the first day I could have caught more, but because I had to quit about 10. But the second day I couldn't get 3. It was only 2. So I mean, it was the kind of thing where I still would have liked to have a few extras.
All right.
Hopefully they are looking seriously now at something like CRR or, catch, record, release, something like that, where we don't have to mess with all these goofy, no call, slot limits, party fishing, all of that kind of stuff. And you could just get to go and catch the biggest fish you can in the day, and that's what you get, which is way more fun. Way
more fun. It doesn't like spending that kind of money and time traveling and then going out for 2 hours and being done.
Right.
I mean, It's good. It means you probably had a good day, but it's like,
it's actually fun.
It's fun. I want to go.
Me and my co-angler were done in a couple hours at Red Wing, and I was just like, damn, I hate quitting because fishing's just fun. I mean, it was
Right.
catching lots of fish, and I could have looked around for some other areas for day two, or on day two,
Yep.
stayed there and whacked on them for a while, and that would have been fun. But it is what it is.
Right.
Hopefully,
I mean,
considering a
we love to
change.
fish, and when you're out there and it's a beautiful day, and like you said, you get them quick. It's, hey, let me go do some pre-fishing for the next day, or just let me just go enjoy this day, because I might have had a couple crappy practice days with weather-wise and didn't get out, and
Right.
I'm here, and the more time in the water, the better angler you are, period. So you might pick up stuff for years down the road when you come back there.
Yeah.
So, but it's the rules. We all play by them, and they are what they are. And yeah, we'll see what next year's rules hold. And if there's any modifications, I'm sure there's a handful of things coming. And it sounds from kind of the rumor mill, what I'm hearing, I think it's making everything for the better. So that's good. That's where we want to go. Schedule next year. You're looking to jump in on all of them again, or are you going to play that one by ear, or
Play it by ear.
play it by ear?
Still negotiating a little bit with sponsors, and things like that. And I don't know. I mean, some of them are fun places to go. Some of them so-so, and kind of getting to the point now where so-so ain't so much fun no more. So
Yep.
kind of just go fishing where I want to go fishing, and if there happens to be a tournament there, that's great. So
yeah, I know the feeling. This stuff isn't cheap by all means. So if you're going to make a long haul and travel, it needs to be worth your time, and which means it's got to be fun, something you're looking forward to. So
don't have to cash a check, just got to have fun. That's what I'm
right. I think I've heard you say it plenty before, and probably a good little nugget for the listeners is if you're trying to make a living by fishing tournaments, it's not a very good business plan. I believe you said those pretty close to those key words years ago.
I've been fishing tournaments 40 years. I believe this is my 40th year fishing tournaments, and I would consider myself real lucky if I broke even over those 40 years. And I've been up at the top plenty, so I made plenty of money fishing tournaments. But to make money in tournaments, better like them.
You better have a backup plan. And I mean, it's all part of the persona, I mean, you've been around, you've done everything, but these tournaments have led, to sponsorship opportunities. But most of that just comes from your ability to be on social and the TV show, The Next Bite, and just being, Keith, the educator and innovator that you are. How does that kind of played into your career in a sense outside of tournaments, or how has tournaments helped everything else evolve?
Well, tournaments have always been, kind of your credibility. I mean, if you do good in tournaments, people want to listen to you. After a while, though, if they listen to you and they use the stuff you talk about, and you got, you're only telling them what's going to actually work. They go out and they catch some fish. They obviously want to come and listen to you again. People don't care necessarily about how well I do in tournaments. What they want to know is, how did I win the tournament? What did I do to catch all those fish? Things like that, something new for them, something they might apply to their lake or to the lake we fished on. So, I believe most people follow tournaments for that reason, is to learn something. I watched some of the Bassmaster and MLF kind of tournaments. And the only reason I am is maybe I'll see something, or they're doing something that I can apply to walleyes. Don't bass fish that much, but maybe, fishing's fishing, or maybe I can apply it to saltwater. And so I think a lot of people watch tournaments, TV shows, all of it to learn something, and therefore, become a better fisherman themselves.
Yeah, it is. Walleye anglers as a whole, I don't think that a majority of anglers do a great job of sharing that. Really, I mean, there's not a lot of secrets out there in fishing anymore. With
because of my
the way things are.
Because of the sponsorships and the companies I align with, secrets are one of the best things to promote. So for me, when I get a secret, I'm not going to hold it. There's been plenty of things through my career, like shiver minnows and slow death hooks. I mean, a lot of different things in our career we could have just held, maybe for the next year or two, done well in tournaments more or better, in the following years. But I just like getting the information out there, kind of telling people. That's what I hope follow me for, is because if I learn something, I'm going to tell them about it. Hopefully it helps them catch more fish. Yeah,
and that's exactly. I mean, it's everybody wins, right? The rising tide, raises all ships theory, and it's right, and that's how you get sponsorships for those out there trying to figure it out. I hear it all the time from the CMOs and stuff. They're like, I get 100 requests from people. They won their little local derby, and they're like, hey, give me this. And it's like, well, first and foremost, you're a salesman, so there's, once again, secrets aren't selling anything. I mean, you got to share it and let them know. But it's like I said, it's not winning the tournaments. I mean, it certainly helps by all means, but you can still catch and have a great tournament and not win it. But people still want to know how you did it, where you did it, why you did it, whatever the case is. And they're going to jump out. Nowadays, they're able to go out there and go the next day and just go right to those areas, or employ those tactics and see if they work, and then they can kind of tell if, all right, that guy's press release is there's no bowl there, that actually worked, or they're going to be like, that's not at all what that guy was doing. Right. And they'll make sure to call you out on it too if it's not, because everybody's got that power nowadays.
Yeah, I don't get called out very often. Once in a while, somebody's got a comment that I guess it's their right to have a comment.
Yeah, we got opinions, but we know about that.
My right not to listen to it, and mine right not to comment back. So,
yep, exactly. Everybody's got an opinion nowadays, no matter what it is, but we all knows what those are, just like something else we all have. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just how you take it and how you deal with it. But for the most part, I don't think you've ever been one to lead people astray. You've been sharing information and tactics and just knowledge. I think you just came back from the clam event, right, for the ice stuff, and dropping all sorts of nuggets for people. Anything new coming out there? What went on at the Clam Expo or the pro meeting?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it I had seen at ICAST already. They are actually at a booth down in ICAST now, but the heaters, those new heaters look really nice. They got some new suits. They got some new tackle. And I think the main thing that went on this year was they had a day before our regular meeting, pro team meeting. They had what they call the summit meeting, which they brought in, I don't know, there had to be 2 or 3 dozen people in it. And just talking about, things they could do in the future that would be innovative or would be better for fishermen, whether it's ice fishing or open water. So I think they got some good ideas from that, and I would expect to see some really good stuff maybe next year or the year after. Maybe not even so much related to ice fishing anymore as just fishing in general. So it was a good meeting. It's always fun to be at that. If you've seen the pictures, I mean, there's several hundred people there. They're all in their blue. They're, it's like the Blue Army. So it's a great time, fun time. They got a nice social event on Friday night, so that's fun.
That is fun. Yeah, Clam's got a huge pro staff, so and they got an absolute ton of ice fishing products. So, but it's hard to be innovative with ice fishing sometimes. I mean, when they have so much stuff already, like you said, it's a heater and some other things that you're just outside of that realm they're trying to get creative with. So,
which is a lot of new tackle. They did have a lot of new tackle, different, but a lot of it was pan fishing type stuff. So really not a lot for walleyes this year, a lot more for pan fishing. So,
hey, well,
check it out.
There's a lot of pan fishermen out there. I love that stuff. I actually got on a perch bite myself on Lewis Clark, which is not a perch fishery. We're like, I caught more perch yesterday than I've caught in the last 5 years combined.
Nice.
That's how which was like 10, because you just don't catch perch there. But they're all like 10 plus inch perch, so they're nice perch. And then it was a 16-inch walleyes mixed in, or a 21-inch, and you're like, hey, I think we can go perch fishing now. So it was kind of fun, and people didn't care at the end of the day. Like, you get some, I'm like, yeah, but we got some perch, and they're just dropped. Like, what? You got perch? Where? How big? I'm like, they didn't care about the walleye no more. I'm like, I think we're going to be guiding some perch strips here, which is fine. Fine with me. They do. They are a tasty, tasty fish. So you talked about the future a little bit there with the clam. What do you think? Where do you feel all these walleye tournaments are going? You kind of touched on the CCR stuff, and I know you're a big promoter and founder of the AIM circuit and format with that. Where do you see the walleye tournaments moving in the future as a whole for all the circuits out there? We got NWT, AIM. You got a lot of local stuff, Governor Cups, the Casino Cup, right? I mean, a lot of those type of things going, and some of those, I think Montana moved to a CCR format for their Gov Cup.
Maybe
I think this last
weigh-in boats kind of you got to bring
the weigh-in. Wyoming does have the weigh-in boat type deal too, I think, on the water.
Wyoming actually, there's a company out of Denver that does a new app that's really a nice one, e-tournament fishing. And I actually worked with them. I'm not affiliated with them, but I kind of consulted with them a little bit about some of the things their app should do and could do, not just for anglers, but there's so many. There's sponsors. There's the home. The site sponsors. There's obviously, the sponsors like Bass Pro and all. I mean, there's a lot of different facets you have to think about when you're doing one of these apps to make it a really good app for everybody. The spectators, there's so much more data that you could collect and show to spectators than just bringing a basket up the stage, slapping it on the scale, and then bringing it off. So I think, and I'm hoping that we'll actually see that app kind of move ahead a little bit more. It's kind of up and beyond some of the other apps that are out there, kind of handling the whole tournament, not just the weighing of fish. So
All right.
kind of excited about that. I know Bass Pro is looking at it for the NWT, and they just actually used it down in one of their saltwater events, IFG,
Oh, yep.
IGA or something like that.
IGFA, I think,
Yeah.
or I see it. Yeah. The redfish
Well,
speckled trout
and it worked
tournament.
out really good, and it worked really good for them. And down there, it's the same thing. A lot of times you can only bring in one fish, and it's just by length and things like that. Well, that's what we need to get to. We need to get back to where a guy can go out, catch as many fish as you can in a day, catch the biggest fish you can catch in a day, not worry about slots, not worry about culling. Put them on your card, bring them in, and whoever's got the biggest 5 wins for that day, and the biggest 10 or 15 or whatever it is for the tournament, they win the tournament. So that makes it much more fun. I think there's plenty of anglers now who have used catch, record, and release, or catch, record, video release, or whatever way you want to do it, that a lot of people are comfortable with it. And for the most part, I haven't heard, once guys used to doing it that way, I haven't heard anybody who wants to go back and weigh fish anymore. I mean, we all worry about keeping big fish, trying to keep them alive. And I mean, it's not something I do. When I fun fish, I don't keep the big ones. When I pre-fish, I don't keep any fish. So it's like, why during the tournament do I got to change my whole conservation policy to bring in fish that nobody sees? And again, we're just putting them up on a scale and then bringing them back out and trying to keep them alive.
And
We just don't have to do that. I think technology is there. I think it brings the fun back. And it's like I've been telling a lot of people, fishing is fun. Tournaments are fun. And if you take the fun out, the anglers will get out because they want to have.
yes, true. And there's no tournament without anglers.
That's
So
correct.
it's very true. I know about that after talking about, they reached out to me for our league to do it. We weren't going to go that route. We actually ended up going that route with Fish Donkey.
Yeah.
So it's same, but it works great.
Same thing.
We had a meeting. People were kind of like, no. Then I explained to them the benefits of it. Cause I'm like, it's a league night, right? Just $20 a head, just fun, right? Fishing's fun. We need to make this fun. You can have the third, kids can come, load up your boat. I said, but if your partner doesn't show up and it's just one of you and it's a best stringer of 5, our limit's 4. And we don't have overs at Lewis Clark, but it's most South Dakota, it's 1 over 20. So I'm like, you can fish by yourself, if you're out there scoping like me. I have several times, and I don't have to worry about the 4 because I'm snapping a photo and just taking them back. And I mean, it's a cold tournament basically.
Right.
And once they caught on, they were all like, okay. And after the first tournament, it had a few glitches, which is mainly just all of our user errors. But after that, people are like, they love it. Last night we had league night, side pots, and all that. And I sit down, verify it afterwards, takes 10 minutes. Boom, here's your winner, done. And they're just like, yeah, that's slick. That's nice.
Well, that's the future of walleye fishing. And if it isn't the future of walleye fishing, I think the future is a little bit more dire than. Just really think they'll probably drop out, the high-end tournaments, the expensive ones. I think they'll see less and less participation in them. People may go down to the regionals or the local tournaments because anglers just like competition. They like,
Right.
certain anglers like competition. So they'll always have that, bug in their mind that they want to do it. And that's fine. But I think it'll hurt the high-end national ones.
Yeah. And we don't need to hurt those because we need those to help continue to grow the sport. I mean, we need the media coverage. We need the masses. And I mean, some of these local ones do a pretty good job of covering their stuff as well. So
people want to move up. They want to move up from the local to the regional to the, to the national, see what they can do against some of the top sticks in the country. So that was an opportunity I always had. So that's why I'm investing a little of my time to try and push that as we go forward here. Obviously, it's not going to make much difference in my career anymore, which way they want to go with tournaments or whatever. I mean, if it becomes non-fun, I just won't fish them. I can always go and fish AIM events with my boys or, some tournament where it is fun. But there are a lot of people who I would hope get some of the opportunities I've had over my years and maybe get lucky enough to, get the right sponsors and get to go out and do it as a full-time living. I hope a lot of anglers get that opportunity. Just need a few changes right now.
Yeah, but no, that's what That's why you're a Hall of Famer, Keith. That's why you're the living legend, because you're not out of it, but you're transitioning out, but you're never going to stop pushing it. You want to push it up. You want to enhance the sport, grow the sport.
Right.
And you and Gary have both done that, talking to people outside of it, like the guys out of Colorado with the app, and you've done the app stuff, and you come from, the IBM, the technical world a bit. And obviously you've got the social media stuff figured out as people watch. I mean, I think your mink video still pops up every winter, on my thread sometime.
The worst part about the infamous mink video is, and I told this on somebody, is that the first time that came out, it had like 6 million views or something stupid like that. And then we put it out one more time last winter. I don't think it'll go out this winter, but it was like 2 million views again. And the worst part is that dang little video probably has more views than all of the rest of my career put together. So
yep.
Yeah, it's funny how social media works, but you do what you can, you throw it out there, and people like it, they'll follow you. So
yep, that's going viral. So that's sometimes all it takes to help somebody to get over a hump or to move to a next level of something. But you did what a lot of people don't do, and you stuck with it, and you continue to put the content out there and the information out there. There's a lot of one-hit wonders and stuff like that, but that's not Keith. So I mean, how many years? What the benefit of longevity, because how many years did you do the next bite? 18,
I was with
19?
the next bite for 17 years. Still host. I'm going to host another one this year. I host 1 or 2 a year still. Just got tired of the business aspects of having a TV show and all the meetings and all of the politics. And so if they want me to go out and fish and put a camera on me, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. I do like doing TV shows. I think it's a great way to get the word out about things. It's a great way to show people how to have fun out there. So as long as they want me to host them, I'll keep going on the show.
Yeah. Politics and fishing? Really? There's politics and fishing on the business side of it? No, you're kidding me. No. It's so much that happens behind the scenes that nobody knows about. And
very small world. Everybody
it is a very small world.
When you get to a certain level, everybody knows everybody. Somebody at one company could be your boss tomorrow at your main company. I mean, they move around within the industry, so it's very, very small world, and you got to kind of tiptoe around, not make too many waves, try to do the best you can, and hopefully the best you can is good enough to keep your sponsors going. So
right, and it's tough not to make waves when you're trying to progress things, and it's sometimes against the grain. I mean, you're seeing it now in the bass world, and obviously, forward-facing sonars causing all sorts of ripple effect here and there. And I think you're still at Lowrance running that active target.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I run it, and I actually like doing it. But I also like to do too many other things. And
right.
That's kind of where I get hurt a little as I go to these tournaments now, and kind of got in my head, all right, got to stand that active target, got to do this. And then you get out there and it's going all right, but not great. And you're like, yeah, I wonder if I pulled lead core with a crankbait through these, if I wouldn't get one. And so you do that, and then you pull some spinners through them, and then you've wasted, not wasted, but you've used a half a day that the forward-facing guys are on, and they're just looking and looking. And so the odds of them finding something using forward-facing over 5 days or 6 days, however long you practice, pretty good. I got to do the other things. I got to shiver once in a while. I got to do this. I got to pull clicker sheds. There's things I want to do just because I'm like Sakakawea is such a great fisher. You can do almost anything there. Yeah. And it was fun fishing. So should have spent more time on my active target, but I didn't. And that's fine. I caught a lot of fish and had fun. So,
well, I mean, you're like, am I just going to drive around and look at this all day and make a few casts at the right fish, which if you can determine how big and what they are, I haven't got that dialed in yet. I just start throwing at everything that swims and you start catching some fish, but it's also frustrated as hell. But that, hey, I can pull, like you said, I can drag some lead across here, pull some spinners and boom, boom, boom. You start catching fish and hey, that's fun. And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks sometime, but just new ways and, to retrain our minds and kind of how your strategy going into it. But it's hands down, there's a dozen guys that are really good at it and they're locked in on that thing. And I'm pretty sure there's not a lead core rod in their boat. So
not even a rod holder, not even no trolling rods and nothing. So
Nope. I talked to
Well,
Tom Wynn the other day, and he has
I
a
mean, people complain about it, but you think back in my career, I mean, there was a lot of, I can remember Gary Roach, just Matter and a Hornet that they put mapping on a GPS. He had spent all of his life lining up a house with a telephone pole, and he was on
yep,
7 Mile, and couldn't believe they should outlaw that for tournaments. It's too much of it just
yep.
too much. It's too much. They can get too much information that took me a lifetime to build up. We're all like, well, unless if they outlaw it, I'm using it because it's great. I
Yep.
can see the sharp drop offs. I can go right to the flats. I can do anything I want. And that was for every lake. So, I mean, those kind of things have happened. I mean, side scan. I mean, there was
Right.
side scan came out. Oh my gosh, you got to outlaw that. You see too much, this and that. Well, I mean, side scan is important. I think active target is important. I like seeing a lot of things under the water. Yeah, I'm not quite as good as the other guys at it, but I keep trying it and I keep doing it and I'll have success with it. And success just makes you want to do it more and more. So
Yep.
I'll keep after it.
Yeah. As long as that's it's a tool, we got to have it in our box, and we better use it and learn how to use it. And if there's any changes, whether it's from the states or fishery management or from circuit levels, then it'll be the same for everybody, whether it's allowed or not allowed, or a limited amount of transducers or whatever. I know Bass is trying to come up with some kind of way to determine all that, but once again, it's fairly new, but it's been around for a while. But obviously, the general public, didn't know as much about it, I would say, probably until the last 3 years, but some guys have been using it for over 5, I think, already, right?
Yeah. Well, when it first came out, some of the early models weren't that great.
All right.
That's kind of where I got a little bit behind. I mean, Garmin, and they just weren't that great. I felt like, oh, yeah, it's something, but it's not that great. But some of the guys, even though it wasn't showing you everything it does now, they took it in. They made it their own. They started using it. And even though they were maybe thrown at, they don't know what they're really thrown at. They're thrown at something. Now the equipment is getting better and better every year. So now you can start to tell ties as a fish. Maybe you can even tell what kind of fish it is. Is it rounder? Is it longer? So it'll continue to advance. And as it does, it just makes it that much easier to use. And that's when the public will start to get on a little bit. But I don't think it's ever going to be, where everybody on every lake, everywhere is looking at their front unit and, using forward-facing sonar to do all their fishing. It's not as social. It's not as, I don't know. It's not as fun. I mean, I don't know. I do like it, but
it's fun when it works. So.
Yeah.
Right.
But even when I'm trolling or pulling bottom bouncers, I point it ahead and I look for, there's some fish ahead of me. And I turn I used to fish bottom bouncers. You'd pick it down. Oh, there, I graphed it on a point. A lot of them are in 20. I'll just stick in 20. Well, now you're going around it. You're up in 15 and you quick glance out. Oh, wait, there's some down deeper. I didn't even know how deep they are. I just head for them.
Yep.
Oh, there's some up shallower. I just head for them. So using forward facing more than just casting is something else I think you're going to see more and more of, just because it is a great way to see more stuff underwater.
Yeah, I talked to Chad Schilling about that in the spring, and he was getting a few transducers put on his boat, and just for that, to see him on the points and see him over the trees at Lake Hawaii. Mm-hmm. So before getting to him, he knew where to go and to get those baits down or up.
Right.
And it's no longer you're setting your contour line and just going. His trails look like this now because I'm chasing them around because I see them where they weren't. Last time it would take you 30 minutes to turn around and try to figure out, now there's some in 15, and then I hit 20, and now you can just go 20, 15. You can make the zigzags, and obviously with bouncers you can do that a little better.
But I think as we start to use that technology, that gives those techniques a better chance of winning tournaments again. I'll be a better bottom bouncer fisherman. I'll be a better contour cranker. I'll be a better open water fisherman because I can make quicker adjustments and I can run more than one rod. I can run, now me and my co-angler can run 4, over here in Wisconsin, 6 rods. I think at some point that technology will also help those techniques and allow you to catch more fish. And therefore, you'll be able to compete with the guy with one rod and casting, And the co-anglers, there's some that are fairly good at looking at a active target or whatever, and maybe picking something out to cast at. But in most cases, it's going to be the pro who's catching most of the fish. So basically, you're fishing against one rod. Like I said, hopefully I can fish 4 rods. I hope the NWT switches that we can run 6 rods again. Because that's one of the things too. The reason we have 2 rods we're limited to 2 rods per angler, even if the state allows 3 or more, is that at one time the jiggers complained so much, right? We can't even compete jigging because the trollers can run 6 rods. Oh my gosh, Well, now it's like the trollers are like, we need 6 rods just to compete with it.
With the one rod guy,
So,
right?
so
Yep.
I think looking at some rules like that can also help us kind of even out the field as far as what technique you want to use. If if you don't want to be up on the bow all the time, if you want to do other things, I think that technology can also be used for those techniques.
Yeah, I watch my bottom bouncer on the pole behind the boat, so I can see fish coming up, or if I'm fishing over trees, I can pull it up, and you can it's amazing how many more fish there are going right underneath your slow death or whatever than what you see on your 2D. You're like, this is a non-stop flow. Why am I not catching a ton of fish here? But you can get one following it forever, and you can just give it a little twitch or drop it back, and then
It's just like ice fishing.
Yep.
One of the cool parts of ice fishing is if you're not doing something right because the fish are not reacting the right way. They're not biting, so that you can make changes up, down, faster, slower, jiggle, don't jiggle. Whatever it is, at least you got the information to make that change.
We're definitely learning a lot of their behavior. But really it's being able to adjust to it on the fly, because maybe that's what they're doing today, but they're not going to do that tomorrow or an hour from now or in a different spot 10 miles down lake or down river. No,
right.
It is, so the co-anglers a lot, and I scoped the entire time at Sakakawea, and I would tell them, I'm like, and you just said it, the pros are going to catch most of the fish. It's tough for that co-angler to be in the back of the boat if you have a pole mount for him, so at least he's got something to watch. But you're up there, and you may decide to zig and zag this way and this way, and he might just be on a fish, and you take off. I just told him, I said, if you're on something, holler. Otherwise, I'm not even really looking back. I'm going to be fishing. If you're on something, like you got one about to bite or you're working, holler, so I don't, floor it and gun it.
You also don't have the ability back there to swing around in the wind or point at the fish or anything. So it is a disadvantage being back there. Obviously, it's nice to know. Even me, I can't always, pick out my lure and the fish, but at least I know I'm casting where there's a fish, and I'm going to be within 2 or 3, 4 or 5 feet of that fish, and hopefully he swims over and comes and gets my bait. So the co-anglers can do the same kind of thing. It's up to the pro to kind of teach them how to do that. That's the way my career has been. A little seminar in the morning has given me lots of fish over my career, because the co-angler catches that key 1 or 2 or 3 fish in a day. Maybe they even outfish me, which is great because I love netting. So
right. There's a lot less pressure sometimes, but I don't know, when it comes to trolling, netting's a pretty big important part. It's a big deal.
It is.
I've seen plenty of fish, even at my boat, that didn't make it in because of the netting and the trolling didn't line up very good. So it takes a little bit of practice. We're talking, a little future. What do you see the industry? You went to ICAST, you went to the clam thing, you see kind of innovation. Where do you think the fishing? I know the economy's not wonderful, some would say, and some of the big companies, you've seen a lot of mergers. Where do you think nobody probably knows us better than you and all those guys over the next bite that are having to deal with the business and the politics side of it. Maybe haven't so much last couple of years, but any trends, or you see where things are going?
Obviously the biggest trend is the conglomerations now taking over things. Moonshine just got bought. He was a small company and built it up, and hopefully with the help of some of our promotions and things, and sold it to a bigger company because it was successful enough, which is good. That's good for him. The biggest problem I see with some of those mergers is a lot of times the product lines will get scrutinized, where they might drop off the lower third of the most productive colors in a shiver minnow, or something. A lot of times something gets dropped, and the problem is that something might be your favorite color, or your favorite lure, or your favorite this or that. And if they stayed a small company, they don't worry about that as much as these big companies. Even at Berkeley, we've had tackle we've designed, or tackle has been designed, not ones I've done, but tackle has been designed, and all of a sudden the sales just aren't there, and 3 years later it's gone before it really even gets a chance to get started, because they look at the bottom line of things a lot more. And so it's good in some respects, I guess, because a Berkeley or Acme owns
Yep.
Moonshine. They got bigger production facilities. They're talking about coming out with more colors. So and better distribution, so you can get it in more places. So there's advantages, but obviously there are some disadvantages, and you see that now more and more. There's just fewer and fewer of the smaller companies that are, first of all, doing well, and if they do well, they're kind of on the sales block or whatever. They're probably being looked at by several companies, because a lot of these companies have seen great success buying these smaller companies, expanding them, and then they're making the big money instead of that small guy.
Yeah, and most of the time it's a holding company, really, or an investors that don't even have any. They're just looking at the books and potential revenue, and you just hope that, all right, you keep everybody in place and you just keep doing what you're doing, which doesn't always happen, unfortunatately. But like you said,
if
you lose
everybody in place, it usually works out. If they don't,
Right.
you just start looking every month at the bottom line of fishing.
I know.
And that's what will be coming up here is that, if the economy gets tough, or anglers start slow down a little bit, especially, buying bigger price tag things, those conglomerates start seeing a hit monthly or quarterly. They don't wait till the next season to make sure, is it really a trend, or is this just a blip? You can lose companies, you can lose tackle, you can, and I hate to see that in the fishing industry. I like having lots of options for anglers. And so, that's probably the biggest thing I see coming. Obviously, boats and motors and things like that get affected first when economies go bad, and they're also the last ones to come back. But interestingly enough, usually tackle does pretty good in off economies, because a guy still wants to get something new for fishing.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to buy this $10
lure, or this spool of new line, or whatever it is. Anglers still like to get something new, and so they just, based on how well they're doing financially, it kind of goes up or down, down to lures and line, or is it rods and reels, or new electronics, or boat motor trailer. A lot goes along with the economy. So.
Lures and beer never go out during a recession, right? Those are two things people just keep buying.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yep, none. And anglers have some say, like when they take a black gold sunset or whatever the color was, I think, that we lost years ago, and everybody went, oh, no, this is my favorite, and then they bring it back. But a lot of that is, don't keep it secrets. Tell them, so the bottom line is good. But, if there's just a few of you hoarding thousands of them,
if they hoard thousands, it'd be fine, but they got to keep
right.
right. Around, so, yeah.
Indeed. Speaking of lures, fall fishing's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I used the hit sticks a lot on Erie. I drove, and the hit stick outperformed everything by a long shot. That's probably the
deep hit stick.
Yeah, deep hit stick.
Yeah.
Blue chrome, and it was. I had 4 of them on.
Yeah.
Come tournament time, I'm like, this is outperforming
Sounds like
everything.
I should have had some more on. So.
Yeah.
I had other colors on. No, they were good. Slimes. I like the slime colors, the ones with the chartreuse belly on them. Purple slime and blue slime. Probably my favorite 2 out there. So.
Yep. Actually, I think I had a purple slime on too. Yeah. Maybe 2 chromes and 2 blue slime or purple slime. I had a couple with those, the chrome belly on them.
No, they're a great lure. Guy did a really good job designing those. A little bit more aggressive than a flicker minnow. So what people don't realize is, like, out in an Erie or in the spring, you wouldn't think, oh, aggressive, I got to go more finessey. But the other thing is, we just slow down so much. Instead of trolling 1.8, 2 mile an hour, we're only trolling 1 to 1.2. And those aggressive baits actually take off. They start moving at slower rates than some of the finessey baits. So they actually have a great action in cold water, because they activate so quickly at slow speeds. So
kind of like reef runner,
bandits, they're all the same. You wouldn't think early in the season they would be that good because they're so aggressive. But you slow down and the aggressiveness goes away, and just a great action takes over. And that's what the deep hit stick has.
Yeah, it's a hell of a bait. And even the shallow ones I pulled, I think when we were at the Detroit River a few years back, it was a tough bite as well. I switched over to 3-0 the hit stick immediately. Boom, 5-pounder. I'm like,
No, yeah, I like using those. They're coming up here is some really good, night bites in the fall.
Yeah.
Especially guys maybe go over to Erie for the fall brawl type. There's two of them over there, or whatever. A lot of those are one with stick baits up shallow. So it's one of the things I love doing coming up here. I think we're gonna actually shoot a show up in Sturgeon Bay in October this year. Fishing shallow. I haven't done that for a while. We used to in the 80s go over there every weekend of September, October, and November from Rochester. Drive over there every weekend to do that. And the bite is still there. It's just not quite as many people do it. And I think because the day bite has gotten so good. But I'm going to go over there and fish with Dale Stroshine and, at the Sand Bay Beach Resort and try and get some nighttime bite with hit sticks. So that'll be fun.
Oh, Dale, what is shallow? What are we referring to as shallow? We're talking night bite in fall.
We fish a lot of the sharper breaks there, some of the cliffs and stuff, Henderson Point, things like that. And those, typically you're going to have your boat in 8 to 10 feet of water, probably run some offshore boards in, maybe an offshore board and a deep hit stick out. But 8 to 10 foot of water, trolling the contours, not so much forward facing at night. So it'll be.
No, that's time to get the Precision Trolling Data app out right there.
Yeah. Good old Precision Trolling. Yeah. Still a great app. Hopefully everybody's got one by now.
Yeah, and if you don't, I'll put a link to that down below in these because that thing is money. You got to have it. Everybody, if you troll at all, snap waste, lead core, I mean, especially if you're long lining and shallow, it's amazing. All the answers are there.
I've trolled a ton over my career, and when I troll, it's on my seat. I'm always just continuously moving it around. And oh wait, now that's started working. How I had 120 feet of line out. That's how deep it goes, and I want to try a different bait, get it in the same depth, so it's a little bit different line out, so I can cross look at the lures and things. So yeah, super important. If you troll at all, you should be. It can take a lot of the guesswork and a lot of make you really almost an expert troller. By simply using an app. So again, technology, it's wonderful. So.
Yeah, it is. It's always great when it works type thing. Yeah. But that app always works and it's updated all the time. If I'll log in, maybe not on it so much in whatever time you're, I'm not trolling, doing a lot more forward or jigging, but it updates just like that.
Next week, the Romanex are going up to Michigan to do a lot of the testing for this year's lures. So you're going to see a whole slug of them come out after that again. They sit up at a cabin for a week and pull around those baits. Mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah.
Mind-numbing.
I can imagine.
Let out 50 feet, run it by. Let out 100 feet, run it by. Let out 150, run it by. Oh, now we got snap weights. Now we got 3 different speeds we got to run it by at different lengths. I mean, it's just horrible. I did it one or 2 days with them one time, and I said, yeah, you guys can handle that part.
You got this. You're good. I mean, a scuba diver and a measuring stick in the water, is that pretty much how it's dialed in?
Weighted tape measure, and run it by it. Look at it, go by the tape measure. So very, very precise, but very, very boring. That's why a lot of people don't have their own charts and stuff like that, is because it is super boring. You might be able to do 1 or 2 lures and get it pretty good, but I think we're 300, 350 lures.
Oh, yeah.
400, might be 500. I don't even know.
But
they keep adding them. So
it's real data. I mean, imagine somebody could hire some math, guru nerd guy to come up with an algorithm that says, okay, if this lure does this, or if I can just get a test sample of a few of these, it's but every one of these is different. I mean, none of these are created equal.
Yeah. Between the bills, the buoyancy, the weighting, I mean, there's so many things that affect, maybe not a lot, but there's a big difference between a 10-foot bait and a 12-foot bait. I mean, we got to know that. So yeah, I'm glad they do the testing.
Yeah, details. I mean, more tournaments are won by somebody paying attention to the details than there is luck. Mm-hmm. So definitely some luck involved, but the details are got to put you up there consistently.
Yes, sir.
Talked about boats, big motors, Mercury. Been Mercury for a long time. The only motor I've ever had.
So my whole career I've been Mercury.
I know Gary talked about it a little bit at Devil's Championship, how long he had been with, boats, and then Mercury. I think the only time he sunk a boat or something once in a tournament once, but other than that, it really hadn't had any, major issues. And the Mercury support trailer showed up at several of our tournaments throughout the years. And that's kind of what sold me when I bought a new boat. There's the other service trailers there, but they always tend to have a longer line behind them than the Mercury trailer. I went, I think I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah.
No,
Mercury engines have been, I'm trying to think back, but I don't think I've ever not weighed in. So I've never broke down to where I couldn't get back in. Maybe a kicker. I had to come in on a kicker once or twice. Mainly stupid things like a fuse blows, like on your Verados, you got that live 12-volt fuse, little tiny wire and a little tiny fuse. And if it blows, your whole big 300-horse engine doesn't work, until you know that after the first time.
Right.
I mean, I learned it like a Mille Lacs kickering from one side of it to the other, and I get back and the tech rep says, yeah, your clean 12-volt fuse blew. Here's a 5-amp fuse for you. You're done.
Yeah. Click, boom. You're off and running.
Thanks. So, yeah, I mean, that's always got me home. I run a long way. I'm one of the guys who will run the furthest.
And the fastest.
I got to be the fastest. This boat now, I'm pretty fast. I didn't get past Sakakawea, and I did a lot of passing. So
yeah, you passed me. So
that new boat is just, well, it's just the new boat and the V10. The new V10 is just a sick combination. I mean, that boat runs totally different than our ZV21 from a couple of years ago. And I think part of it is the boat, because they changed the hull slightly under to be more like your 20-footer.
Yep.
ZV20. But also that V10 is just so powerful, and it's swinging a 27-pitch prop, and it's got super acceleration, and the boat runs flatter, so you're actually cutting through waves instead of kind of bouncing across them. Don't have to use the trim tabs as much. I mean, it just rips. I mean, it's and it gets better gas mileage than our old 400. So, I mean, there's a lot to like about it, and a lot to like about that package.
It definitely rips through the rough stuff. My boat isn't the fastest. I got the ZV20 with the 300 Pro XS, which, knock on wood, I haven't had any problems with it. I think I had a new alternator. I mean, you're going to have issues come up, and that's wear and tear, and we drive these things and to use them, but just good maintenance on it, and they pretty well perform all the time. But I've noticed it drastically, and I'm like, I'm not fast, but I still pass a lot of boats. But it's just because I'm able to go at the 55, or full throttle in a little bit rougher water. Because I'm not getting tossed around, and it's plowing through it. Like I used to look at other guys, go, wow, man, I need a 21-footer because that seems to be a big difference, which it is versus a 20. But going to the nitro, even the ZB20, I even had guys that have the other brands jump in and go, oh yeah, this is way better ride.
Well, the ZB20 is a nice boat, and I would actually consider, like, once I quit tournament fishing, getting one, just because easier to tow, easier on the gas with that 300. It's a great engine. I would consider getting that just because it's similar to our 21 as far as how it fishes, and still goes plenty fast. And like I said, just a little bit more economic. So really a nice package. But that 21 is thick.
That is a beast. And has that got an 80-gallon fuel tank in that thing?
80-gallon fuel tank.
Jeez.
So got, if I slow down a little, we probably got almost 200-mile round trip we can take without gas. So if we go wide open, it's probably 170, 165, 170 miles. So even that, 80 miles to run one way without gas and run all the way home, that's a nice deal. So,
well, yeah, it's going to save you 30-plus minutes of, fuel up time or more, and the fact that you don't have to pay $5 a gallon to fuel up on water.
Plus, I don't have to slow down to do it. So
right, and you don't have to go 40 instead of 55 or 60 to, like we had to do in the past, plenty of time, and kind of NASCAR it and go, I got to cut like Sakakawea the first time, right? I got to go here to here to here and clean everything out of the boat, right? So I get the best fuel economy, and then it's, well, who's going to be fueling up when and where do I go so I can get this?
Never a good thing. Feeling bad. So
no, not at all. It is a beast, and that's the new boat I'm looking at, and one of my guides has just got his ordered, I believe. I think he's going to underpower it a little bit just because he doesn't need the 400 as much as he wants it. But he's like, I'm just guiding. I'm not going tournaments. Just don't need it.
I imagine if you put a 300 on there, it would be a great package. 300, 350, something like that.
Yep.
Probably a 300 would be probably really good on there. Really good.
Yeah, he's like, if I can go 50, he's like, that's good enough. He's like, I don't drive 35 to 45 anyway, but
it'll probably be mid-50s with a 300
probably.
There, so good deal.
It is a beast. It is a hell of a boat, and those nitros are priced very competitively, in the market right now compared to a lot of the other brands out there. So I like it. I like mine a lot. I really just like how it handles on the rough water. And I added trim tabs for the first time. And I'm an idiot for not having those on before, because those are awesome. I think they were only like a $1,500 add-on, a few years ago. I'm like, oh, that was worth. I'd get rid of a graph over not having those trim tabs on.
I bet you it was 20, 25 years ago. We were down doing some shoot somewhere and there was a bunch of saltwater guys there, and we were running our boat, and they're like, well, why don't you guys run trim tabs? We don't need those trim tabs. You need them down there. The
Right.
big sluggish old boats that you got. We rip across the water. And then probably 10 years ago, somebody put one on one of my boats, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And now we run those pro tabs, power trims have pro tabs, are really easy to add on. In fact, I install mine myself every year just because I want to make sure they're exactly right. You got to make sure they're not dragging when you're going wide open. But yet when you tip them down, they're biting the water enough so that it takes. I just find that some things like that, like mounting my graphs, mounting my trim tabs, I just do that just in case some new guy does. I would just put this on here and that, and holes and trying to repair holes. So I there are dealers and like tractor rigging that I would trust to do it probably, but most of the time they're in such a hurry or so tied up schedule wise that I need it before they can. So I just do some of that stuff myself.
Yeah, I had a new guy put mine on, I think, and I pulled Chemo's over at a gas station and said, hey, something's not right, because when I slow down, I'm hitting brakes, and they're level. I said, okay, but the boat doesn't sit in the water level.
Right.
I need to tilt it up a little bit. So Chemo's grabbed the judge grabbed the ruler and laid it underneath there and went, oh, yep. And so I had
dragging.
I'm like, yeah. So I undid them and tied them up, and I could feel the difference. And I just kept track of my fuel for a day, and I went, yeah, and I did the math. I'm like, this cost me over $2,000 extra in fuel this year, just because I had 300 hours on it a year. Mm-hmm. And so I drilled on the plate instead of into the boat, and just slid the arm back a little bit, which lifted it up like a half inch, and there we go. Good to go.
Much difference, but
every little bit counts on those things. But it made a difference, and I was like, I don't know. And I looked at a few other ones that were the same year. I'm like, yep, same guy put those on that guy's boat too. And so I told him, like, if we're having a problem,
I just think the main thing here is if a guy has a boat and doesn't run them right now, they're fairly easy to add in yourself. I mean, don't like on those pro tabs, just read the instructions. It gives you all how far up it should be, and I just follow those instructions real carefully, maybe more carefully than a guy who rigs every day. And I have never had a problem with mine, dragging or biting. You got to get them just right, because if you get them up too high, then when you trim them down, you won't see that nice side to side movement that you want to see. So, not too bad to add yourself. Kind of a fun little deal to do in a day. You'll get them done in a few hours.
Are those pro tab? Are those self-leveling ones too? Or are they still manual?
Yeah, manual.
That's the way I would like it. I'd be a little afraid, or at times when, like, guiding wise, you have a heavier person on this side of the boat. I'm like, I don't need it to go down. Because obviously you're getting drag and sucking fuel. It's like, it's fine. We're just going a little ways.
I think the really nice thing about them pro tabs is it's run by a joystick. It's not buttons.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah.
So when you're driving and it's tipping a little to one side, you just tap your joystick. Oh, they're straightened out. You tap it the other way. So I got quartering waves. I want to tip it intentionally. Just tap over the joystick, and then you just shove it down. If you ever want them to come up all the way, you just push it down, and up they come, and then you're just on your hull. So.
They're slick. It's amazing.
It's nice. I mean,
that would be
down. You don't have to look at lights. You just kind of do it by feel, and the feel is real intuitive. So.
It's amazing what just a couple clicks or a tap, just a half inch of that thing going down, what it does and how it lifts. And I mean, it's amazing. So like Keith said, if you don't have trim tabs and you're looking at adding them to a boat or getting a new boat, folks, get some trim tabs. They're going to be well worth it, especially if you run some of these bigger waters, or if you're a tournament angler and you're fishing in kind of whatever the conditions are that day, because we don't get to pick it. It's going to save you. It's going to save your windshield. It's going to save your back. It's going to save everybody in your boat, and you're going to be able to ultimately probably go a little faster in those tournaments too, because you don't have to worry about those waves that are quartering against you. So awesome stuff. All right, Keith, well, I don't take up too much of your time. We've been on here for about an hour. I think we covered a lot. We could talk to you for days because you got a ridiculous wealth of knowledge and insight. And but I know people appreciate you coming on here and sharing some of that with us and giving your thoughts. And good luck at the championship. I know it's going to be. Hopefully, you get some good weather. It's who knows. I mean, that place can blow, but any Great Lake can. So.
Yeah, no protection there. No protection at all.
No, yeah, there was never a place where there's no protection. That is it. Is there what Thunder Bay? Is there like one kind of bay, right? A little bit Thunderstick Bay or something
north.
like that.
That's north. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're running up that way, and that one really isn't that protected either because it's such a big bay. It's like saying Green Bay is protected.
Yeah, Green Bay is not protected at all, by all means. So
it's going to be an interesting tournament.
Well, we wish you luck on it. I'll be watching, which is okay. So I got a busy week of guiding that week, but I look forward to watching it and seeing what's happening. Interested to see how that one pans out. It could be a forward-facing sonar. It could be trolling. There's so many things that could happen out there. And, I mean, I know last time I was even in that area, that water was so clear. I mean, that obviously is going to play into things. And little winds probably going to be good for certain.
That's what you asked for, though.
But exactly. Because it doesn't take much there to a little. I mean, 10 mile an hour is going to be like, whoo, especially if it's coming out of the north. So I think it was Bruce DeShano that told me that once, that the Huron's basically the windiest of them all, just because how it lays, and obviously depending on what the wind direction is. But yeah, north or south, he says it just rolls. We were like that at Saginaw at practice. I think that was the least amount of days I got out on the lake. So fished the river a lot, and then of course tournament days were flat, calm, and beautiful. So I'm like, that's right. But would like to go back to that place because, like you said, Saginaw, that place is getting good. There's a lot of good fishing there. Mm-hmm. A lot of islands and piles and weeds and rivers. I mean, there's a lot of options, a lot of places to fish. So Florida, we covered a little bit of that. Florida fishing. Any tips for people heading down there in the winter? Or just call Keith, jump in his boat. He'll show you the ins and outs.
I wish I could do that because I get enough requests to do that. But no, Florida is just a great place. And what's really nice is if you're a walleye fisherman and no electronics at all, I mean, if you can find structure, there's fish on it. No. You don't know necessarily what fish are on it. It's kind of a surprise. After a while, you might learn, this kind of structure has grouper, this kind of structure has snappers, or this is what snappers look like on the depth finders. So you learn all that, but knowing how to read your electronics, especially side scan, looking for rocks and ledges and things, most of the like wrecks and things are on maps. You can find those easy enough, but it's all those little rock spots and they call it live bottom. It's more like a soft coral. You can see those things on the side scan. So a lot of times just driving around, you can find those, especially if you kind of found one. And a lot of times in that area will be more of them. And where those, any kind of structure, there's fish. So easy enough to catch them. I mean, I have a YouTube channel now, Keith Kavajecz, I think YouTube/Keith Kavajecz. And we actually have a playlist called Saltwater. And I put a lot of the real common setups under there that I, as a northern angler, use down in saltwater. Maybe not exactly what a saltwater guy would use, but I kind of like doing things a little bit different than some of the saltwater guys down there and tend to catch plenty of fish. So just a fun, I mean, if you ever get a chance to go down there, don't hesitate just to find a good guide, go out with them and have fun, because the Gulf is still 95% nothing and 5% structure. So it can take a little while to find some of those spots, but once you find them, they're fun.
Well, I suppose there's underwater current, so every little piece of structure is just kind of a magnet to many of those.
I mean, you get tidal current,
Tidal current, yeah.
Tide makes a difference, Slack tide is no good. Moving water is typically good, Tide against the wind typically is harder boat control. You got to make her up a little bit different. So there are some differences down there, but the good news is if you can read your electronics, you can find structure, and where there's structure, there's always fish. So.
Yeah, I fished in the Gulf out of Venice quite a bit and further out, on rigs and stuff. And yeah, you're exactly right. Okay, I can find anything floating. I can go catch triple tail under. Yeah, pretty simple. I go over to these, and it's going to be cobia. I'm always looking for the big schools of bolt reds. Shallow,
inshore,
yeah, way fun. But yeah, when you get a little head outshore, You're not kidding. You find structure, and those guys out there like to keep it pretty simple. It's a hook and a weight.
Oh yeah, a lot of hook and a weight,
But
I use a lot of jigs. I use a lot of hair jigs, so
yep,
a little bit different out there. But
I threw a lot of plastics on immediately, and even went with guides and pulled out some gulp out of my pocket and put that on jigs and just was putting on a clinic, catching some of the fish. And they're like, "What are you using?"
Yeah.
Like, how have you never used this gulp shrimp before? You know, and
it's so easy down there. You don't have to. Yeah. But there are times when it's not so easy, and then if you got a few tricks, then it is easy again.
Right. Hey, if fishing was easy, everybody would do it, but 50-some million people are. So
it's easy sometimes. So
it's easy sometimes.
Yeah, saltwater's fun. I enjoy doing that now. I enjoy fishing up here. People ask, why don't I just stay down in saltwater? It's such good fishing. I still love fishing for walleyes. I mean, they're just so diverse, 6 inches of water, 100 feet of water, anywhere in between. So that's why I'll keep doing both. And I'll ice fish too. So I like doing that.
Those walleyes will keep you thinking. They keep you on your toes because I don't know if there's a smart fish versus a dumb fish out there, but I'm going to put the walleye into a smarter fish category. Yeah. So, or dumber anglers, I don't know, whatever, if we're making them smart. But if you could leave the listeners and viewers with a little nugget, a tip to help them on their angling, or whether it's weekend fishing or professional journey, what kind of little tip you got for the listeners?
I think the biggest thing is not to fish too many memories. A lot of anglers, I did great on this spot. People will text or personal message me on Facebook. Oh, I whacked them on such and such a spot. And I'm like, great. When did you do that? Oh, like 2 months ago, and they're like, they think they're helping me, but really anglers are like that. We remember the best days of fishing very specifically. And a lot of times you go back to that same spot, do the same thing, everything is with your memory, and you can waste half your day or more of your day. You could waste the whole day, not just going around looking with your electronics or trying to find different fish. So, do pay attention to how you catch a fish. If you get similar conditions again in the future, fish that way again, but get off of them real quick. If you don't need to hit 10 spots to know a pattern isn't working. You hit 1 or 2, pattern ain't working. Now you got to figure out something else. So don't fish too many memories.
True. We all have been probably guilty of getting caught up in that. And you don't get the DMs or the private messages that say, "Hey, that spot sucks. Don't go there. I don't ever catch fish there," which is sometimes just as valuable as, "Hey, I'm catching them here." But like I said, that's the first thing I ever asked anybody who's trying to offer up something. It's like, "Well, I got them there last summer." I'm like, great.
I mean, is it June or
thanks.
Is it August? Because that's different.
Oh, and it was a year ago, and your summer was 10 degrees cool. It's like, okay, thanks. Maybe it's something you can drive by, but the reality is, trust your electronics. They don't lie. No, as long as you know what you're looking at. So
there you go.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you a ton, Keith. Thanks for your time, and good luck at the championship again. And we will see you on the water here sometime soon. If not, I'll be back out there and see you at Bismarck. If you're going to that one next year, that's going to kick off the season, and I think everybody's excited for that. The weather will be what the weather will be, but it's the Missouri River, so
should be fun.
Should be fun. So, all right. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk Fishing, and stay safe, and we'll see you on the water.